What if the secret to a better golf game wasn't about endless hours on the range, but was actually hiding in plain sight right in your bag? Well, today we're going to break down a really interesting test of some new gear from a company called 11 Golf that claims to be incredibly easy to hit. And trust me, the results are, well, they're pretty surprising.
So let's just get right to it. The big question on everyone's mind. Can you actually buy an easier, less frustrating game of golf? I mean, is it all just about practice and lessons? Or can the right equipment fundamentally change how you play and feel out on the course?
Oh man, we have all been there, right? You smash a pretty good drive, but you're left in that no man's land. Too far out for your longest iron, but maybe too close for your 3-wood. That massive, kind of fuzzy yardage gap is exactly where a good round can just fall apart. And it's that exact problem that 11 Golf is trying to fix. So the mission begins with the clubs that give most of us the biggest headaches, the long irons. Let's be honest, they are notoriously tough to hit well, so finding a reliable replacement is like step one to building a better, easier set.
All right, so the first test is a real showdown. In one corner, you've got 11 Golf's super forgiving, kind of chunky hybrid-style iron. And in the other corner, their brand new challenger, a much more traditional blade-style driving iron. Now, your first thought is the hybrid has to be easier to hit, right? Well, let's see what the numbers say. And yeah, the hybrid iron does pretty much what you'd expect. It's super forgiving. Even when you don't catch it perfectly, it still gets out there a decent way. A well-struck shot carries about 199 yards. It's solid, it's reliable, no real surprises here.
But then, this is where it gets really interesting. This is the first big shocker of the day. The new driving iron, the one that looks like it should be way harder to hit, it actually flies farther, a full 206 yards of carry. And not only that, it launches higher, and according to the guy testing it, it just felt way better.
I mean, the reviewer's reaction really says it all. He was genuinely totally shocked. He found that the traditional-looking driving iron was actually easier for him to hit than the club that was specifically built to be forgiving. And the fact that it sounded and felt better, well, that was just the icing on the cake.
And this is where the value part of it just blows you away. They put it head-to-head with a premium Titleist iron that costs more than double, and the performance was practically identical. We're talking 206 yards versus maybe 207. But get this, the biggest difference wasn't even the price. It was that the reviewer actually preferred the sound and feel of the cheaper 11 Golf iron. Wow. Okay, so the long iron problem seems to be solved. But what about that next gap in the bag, the space between that new driving iron and the big stick? Well, let's keep moving up the bag, because this is where things get even more interesting. All right, say hello to the XL series. Now, these are not your standard fairway woods, and they're not really your typical small hybrids either. The best way to think of them is like supersized, confidence-in-a-can hybrid woods. They're designed with one single goal, to make it ridiculously easy to get the ball launching high from the fairway. And wow, do the numbers back that up. Look at this chart. The driving iron was already launching it pretty high, peaking at 27 yards. But these XL clubs, they just rocket the ball up there, peaking at 33, even 34 yards in the air. That's over 100 feet high. For anyone who struggles to get the ball airborne, that extra height is an absolute game changer. Finally, we get to the top of the bag, the big dog. But instead of just a standard driver, 11 Golf has this really cool alternative that's been gaining a lot of popularity, the mini driver. So what's the deal with this thing? Well, it's built differently on purpose. It's got a shorter shaft, which right away means more control. The head's a little smaller, and it has a bit more loft. The whole idea is to create the ultimate fairway finder that doesn't really sacrifice a ton of distance. And its performance is just incredible. Off the tee, it's long and high. But here's the real magic trick. You can hit this thing straight off the turf and carry it 228 yards. That makes it a legitimate weapon on long par 5s. And that higher spin actually helps keep the ball in the air, making it just so playable. And this brings up a super important point. You know how you always hear about pros trying to lower their spin for more roll? Well, for most of us, higher spin is actually our best friend. It creates more lift, which means more carry distance, and it helps the ball stay in the air longer. That's the secret sauce that makes these clubs so effective for average players. So, after looking at all these unique clubs, you have to ask yourself, when you put all these pieces together, could this collection really be the easiest set of clubs ever built? When you lay it all out, the strategy makes perfect sense. You start with that surprisingly easy-to-hit driving iron that actually beats its hybrid cousin, then you fill that fairway gap with the super high-launching XL woods, and you top the whole thing off with the controllable, super versatile mini driver. The progression just works.
The results were so compelling that the original reviewer was completely sold on the potential here. He actually ended his video by asking his viewers if they wanted to see him take the entire bag out for a full on-course round. It's pretty clear this whole concept really works, at least in a controlled test.
And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? So many of us are out there trying to play clubs that are just too difficult for us. But what if the path to lower scores and just having more fun wasn't about fighting your equipment? What if it was about embracing a set that was designed from the ground up to make the game as easy as possible? That's a pretty powerful idea to think about.